right into it because we don't have much time and you're one of my
favorite
people. So I'm already recording. Maggie.
Yes.
Maggie, you're here. And
Kelsey, I'm excited to be here. I'm so excited to be here.
Why does your background look so much more stunning than the one Zach uses every day?
He was kind of doing yoga in here before I came in. And he's like, aren't you going to record in my office? I was like, no,
it's so cute in here. Why doesn't he do this?
I think it's because he has to like set it up, take it down, set it up, take it down. Whereas like his office is just always his office. And once he needs like a permanent setup, we need to paint and make it beautiful. But I know how beautiful your podcast setup is because he's always raving about it. So I was like, I better set up in front of my bookshelf.
Stop. It's an aesthetic for sure. And just checking, do you have AirPods in?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because your hair was covering it. I was like, oh dear God, can she hear me? Maggie, here's the thing. I love you. I'm obsessed with you. You had me on You Can Sit With Us, which first of all, I love that name of the podcast. And I've like told you already how much I love it because I used to be on a bowling league that was called You Can't Sit With Us. And now I'm like, oh, we're flipping the script.
Oh my gosh, a bowling league with that name?
I was on
incredible.
A gay bowling league for many, many years in Los Angeles. And I only met gay men and I was doing it as to like open up my queer space more. And it was like, no,
You can't sit with us.
Yeah, it was like I just kept meeting more gay men. And
do you like have bowling jackets from that?
No, because we have bowling shirts, but not jackets because it would get too hot. We would sweat and drink.
Okay,
that's the whole thing.
Okay, that makes
sense. But this isn't about me. This is about you, Maggie. I feel like what I wanted to accomplish on this was like, I feel like so many people have just gotten to know you during the time that you've been like publicly front facing with, you know, as Zach Kornfeld's fiancé. You're one of the tri-wives, as they call you guys, right? But like, I want to know, fuck Zach, you know, fuck him, throw him all the way out in the trash. Let's just talk about you. What is your story? Like, where do we start?
I don't even know where we start.
Where were you born?
I was born, oh my gosh, I don't claim them, but I was born in Orange County. I was born no, but I my parents still live there. I have a lot of friends who still live there, but I just watched the QAnon documentary on HBO and they had a reference to Orange County and like Steve Bannon, which I just found out has a horse in Orange County. I was like, oh my God, no. Anyway, I grew up in Orange County. I moved to LA when I was going to college. And
oh my God, wait, are you like born and raised here in this area?
Yeah. Isn't that so weird? Most people that move to LA are transplants like you, like Zach from other states.
Enough, I was born here, but then I was born in Redondo Beach.
Oh,
I know. And then I moved when I was really little. So like I tell people I was raised in Florida, but I basically was born and raised in Florida, basically. Like my mental state,
I guess your identity is there.
My mental state was born in the state of Florida, but you know, welcome to being from a place that is problematic. Like now you finally understand what it's like to be from
like,
Florida,
Orange County. Orange County is the
Are your parents born and raised in the area too?
No. So both of my parents were actually born in Peru and they moved out here. Yeah. They're both full Peruvian.
España comes from, or I guess it's just the España would be Spain, wouldn't it?
But I am Spanish too. There's like a lot, like I'm French, I'm Italian, I'm Spanish. And they moved to Peru. I think I'm so bad. I've been meaning to like sit down with my grandmother and like take notes on like where, because it's such a gobbledygook. So when I did my 23andMe, I lit up the globe. I was like, whoa.
She's an international queen and she's stunning. And like, I feel like that was like what I had an idea for this podcast was like, you were speaking Spanish the other day on your Instagram story. And I was like, wait, why did I not know that? Because my brain immediately attaches you with Italian because I think of Jordana Brewster, but you're Peruvian and like you're what did you call that? A gobbledygoosh?
A gobbledygoosh of things.
Like that is like, I feel like I don't know so much about you, but I thought I knew so much about you.
I know. Well, funny, there is I just learned this like a few hours ago because I was looking at like Tokyo because you guys are doing
Fast and
anyway,
Furious.
Fast and Furious, all that stuff, all that exciting stuff that I cannot disclose on the podcast, but exciting. Right. There is a Peruvian Australian actress that was in Tokyo Drift. She was the love interest. Yeah.
Do you identify with your Peruvian side hardcore since both of your parents are from there, or do you feel more like LA is your hardcore?
I feel like it's a marriage of both. When I'm home, it's easier and like when I'm with my grandparents, it's easier just because people understand. But when I'm in the LA space, like I try and it's really hard. It's hard to kind of, and my father was very much of the opinion, like, oh, I only speak to my daughters in English because they need to assimilate. And like, they wanted to name me Margarita, but they were like, oh no, she's going to have like, I don't want her to be made fun of. But how cool would that have been? But,
the most beautiful way of saying it too. But Maggie is short for
Margaret,
which was my
and I was named after my great grandmother who raised my father.
And your last name is of Peruvian, or where does that originate?
It's technically Spain.
So you do got this España in ya.
España. Yeah.
Coming from like the most white bread, cornbread, potatoes and steak Irish lady. Like, I'm so jealous of people who have such a rich culture and back history. But like, I do have to imagine, you bring up your parents wanting you to assimilate. Was there like a buffer with being in LA because LA is so diverse, because you do kind of get that melting pot of like people coming from the South, people coming from the North? Like, did you feel like you stuck out, or did you feel like you did a pretty good job of assimilating to the?
I was lucky that in my high school, I was friends with a very large group of I had a few Korean friends, I had an Ethiopian friend, I had a Middle Eastern friend, I had a couple white friends, and we were all like you said, a gobbledygook of different things. And like, I didn't really think of it in high school. Like I thought we all just coexisted together and it was beautiful. And like, we'd go over to each other's houses and like, experience their different cultures in their household. And I didn't really feel like an outsider, I think, until I moved to LA, which is weird. Yeah. And now it's gotten to the point.
I think it's the other way around. You would think Orange County's so white, but now it's, it's kind of.
Yeah. I realized that I like grew up in like a very rare friendship environment. Yeah. It was weird. And then now here it's kind of like, I've been talking things out with my therapist who also is Latina, but I sometimes feel like I don't belong to either. Cause like my parents were immigrants and then I am white passing. Right.
Right. Sure.
But I am not I'm not white, and then I'm not super, super Latina either.
Right.
So I'm kind of in this like middle zone, and I don't really know where I belong sometimes, but
well, I thought it was, again, like I was so shocked the other day when I heard you speaking Spanish on your Instagram, and I felt really ignorant to the fact of like, well, yeah, I've never really asked beyond just what I see her to be. And like,
and that's not something people are usually comfortable asking. And like so many people at work and families that I work with just assume that I'm speaking, that I only speak English. Cause I think when I first became a nurse, like I had really intense like balayage and I had like a blonde bun at work. And so people just assumed that I only spoke English. Oh no, where'd you go? There you are.
Oh no.
Sorry, you like zoomed out. And then, but sometimes they'll be speaking Spanish with their family members. And like, I am very comfortable translating. So I'll start speaking Spanish and there's just like a look of surprise. They're like, oh, you speak Spanish, da, 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 da. Like so exciting. So and there's just a sense of comfort there.
Right. Like I have to fast forward a little bit. So you went to school to where and to do what?
So, so I didn't I have to remember that. People don't know. Oh yeah. So I went to school at Mount St. Mary's on the West LA side.
Is that
I went to school for nursing school. Yes, it is.
Fuck. What was that like?
I know. So I didn't want to be in a lot of the nursing schools in Southern California are pretty impacted. So I didn't want to be in a place where I was on a waiting list for years and years. Cause that was the experience of some of my other friends who tried to go to nursing school. And so I was offered a scholarship there. It was like 4 years in and out, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I had to take a little bit of school loan out, but I was like, I didn't want to be waiting and waiting and waiting. So that's what I did. I was like,
did you always want to be a nurse?
Half and half. I applied to half of the colleges I wanted to go to as business, but my dad, as a man who came to this country and like had to build up from the floor, he like sat me down. He's like, you need to have a plan. Like you really like, what do you want to do in business? And I kind of looked at him and I was just like, I don't really know. I did volunteer as like a senior service project in high school at CHOC, which is Children's Hospital of Orange County. And they put me on their pediatric ward. Well, it's all pediatric, but their pediatric oncology ward. And I was just kind of inspired there. And I was like, let me just, I think I want to do this, but like nursing is like so wide. Like what specialty would I do? Like I'm interested in pediatrics, but I don't really know. And like having teenagers choose what they're going to do for the rest of their life and like kind of stick to one path is just, it's so jarring. So I kind of still didn't really know what I want, even when I was in my first year of prerequisites of nursing school, which is totally normal.
Yeah. Is it? I feel like that's also the same with doctors, is like they think they want to go do one thing and then they kind of get to do the rounds or whatever. And you get to do your fellowships and shit. And it's like, oh my God, I actually hate this thing. I want to do this thing. And it's like, with what you do, which now you're a pediatric Nicu nurse, right?
NICU means neonatal ICU. So usually if a baby is born before 40 weeks before full term, they'll go to the NICU, which is
you work around it, but that's not like your day.
No.
You're more just all babies.
All babies. Well, I take care of kids. It's all children. So 0, like I've had like the youngest kid that I've had
is 0.
Is 0. And then the oldest kid I've had was like 25, which when I was a nurse,
that's not a kid.
Yeah. Right. I was 22. I think the first, and I had a 25-year-old patient, which is kind of weird, but in retrospect, there's many nurses who take care of people that are way older than them. But and like as in the pediatric nurse setting, generally it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And like, what was nursing school like? And then what was it like to kind of decide children and implementing that kind of practice? How is that different?
Yeah. I feel nursing school was really tough. I basically had no social life. Like everyone else's college stories sound so fun.
Just stereotypical.
But I was just in I was just in a closet dorm for 2 years. I mean, the last year was a lot better, but it was just a lot of studying. Yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of boring. And I didn't really feel prepared when I first became a nurse whatsoever. You really don't understand the extent of what you're going to do because it varies from specialty to specialty, hospital to hospital.
Right.
But yeah, what was the other part of your question?
I don't remember because I was like thinking about you in school, and then it made me think about like, also, what is the difference between what nurses study and doctors study? Because isn't it all kind of like the same fucking thing? Like what separates it? Just more time in school?
I mean, doctors manage medical diagnoses, whereas nurses are taking care of them.
What a beautiful difference.
It should be a marriage, right? Like they should understand all the pathophysiology and like understand their patients. Yeah. And they should like follow their patients in that way. And then we should just be managing and like looking out for symptoms in response to how we're taking care of them.
Arguably the more important job. And I can say that, you probably can't, but I feel like whenever who have been like in the medical system for many, 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 many years, have always identified better relationships with the nurses and the people.
They're just the ones that are always there, but it should be a happy little marriage between everyone, but they're the ones. And that's like kind of how I was inspired by other people that I was watching getting medical treatment and stuff. And I will say like support system is so important. And I'm so glad that you and Zach have each other through like everything that you guys are going through.
Same. Yeah. Honestly, like, I don't find it that ironic that you ended up with someone who does have like chronic pain and condition, not necessarily that you're looking to take care of someone, but that sort of in your DNA and nature to be empathetic and understanding, which a big fear that people with chronic illness and pain do have is like, I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of their time and energy of understanding. Like whenever I ask people to look into it more, I'm like, oh God, I'm giving them homework. And like, they're not even gonna know how to say the words I'm talking about, but like, you got a leg up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been hard because Zach didn't necessarily know that he had all that when we met. And I didn't know that we had all that until like I started looking at it and I'm like, something's not right here. And you should
help
advocate
that. Confidants, I feel like at this point you should be able to do this ad with me because what do I believe in? Affordable therapy for all. This isn't just an ad read. This is a company that is very close to my heart. Y'all know I'm talking about BetterHelp. It is the app that has facilitated great therapeutic matches for not only me, but a ton of my friends and family. And don't worry, it is available worldwide. They are licensed professional counselors who are specialized in things like anger, LGBT matters, gay, grief, self-esteem, I hate myself, trauma. That was a ghost traumatizing you, and sleeping. Everything you share is confidential, convenient. It's professional. Yeah, sure. And affordable. You can check out testimonials posted daily on their site. And my favorite part about it is if you don't like your therapist, baby, it's like Bumble. You can just swipe right through to get a new one, new match, get matched in under 24 hours when you sign up. So many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. I wonder if that pandemic has anything to do with it. And I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/CI. Join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CI. Confidants, whether you work for yourself or you're part of a team, it's time to create some stuff. Got to keep those creative juices flowing even during a pandemic. I want you to be using Issue. Issue is an all-in-one platform to create and distribute beautiful digital content, from marketing materials to magazines, flip books and brochures and more, because like PDFs are so outdated. Do not send me a PDF. Issue makes content better. Issue also works seamlessly with tools you already use, like Canva. I know all you Insta hosts be using Canva, Dropbox, where my professional BB's at, and InDesign, where all my artistics at. Make it once and distribute it everywhere without reformatting. Your content's already optimized for engagement and ready to share. Issue helps out creators, marketers, designers, and anyone who wants to make content that stands out. So you can get started today with Issue for free, or if you sign up for a premium account, you will get 50% off when you go to issue.com/podcast and use promo code confidently. That's ISSUU.com/podcast and use promo code confidently at checkout for your free account or 50% off your premium account. I have a premium account. Join me. That's issue.com/podcast with promo code confidently. Back to the show.
I don't know if he's talked about this on the podcast, but I think we were like dating for 2 years and he was going to sleep every night. I don't know if he's actually ever told anyone that, but he was going to sleep every night, tossing and turning, taking ibuprofen almost nightly. And I was like, have you talked to a doctor about this? And he was like, yeah, but like my primary always says like, oh, it's probably nothing. Yeah, it's just your back. It's just your posture. Just like work on your posture. And as I'm like sitting up, and then it just started to kind of like I started paying attention more, and I was like, you should ask for some imaging. And then like it kind of snowballed from there.
So he basically has you to thank for helping be like a patient advocate in a way, which I'm like saying that kind of jokingly, like, oh my God, he has you to thank because I just think you're fabulous. But also I would dead ass was telling Jared yesterday that I want him to come to this new ENT doctor because I have such a fear of surgery on my face ever again that like, saying it to the doctor is never enough. Me going like, no, you don't understand. I have like facial trauma that needs to be considered here. And they're always very like, sure. Like whatever. And I'm like, Jared's a big, tall, scary dude. And I feel like you come in with the intelligence and confidence that could be like, hey, I'm a fucking nurse at one of the best hospitals in the country, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. You just have such an important job, I think. And like, that's obvious, right? It's like, duh, nurses. But I think there's an emotional aspect that comes with it, and a support that you naturally just have. Like, you're just a good person. You know, I'm obsessed with you.
You're so sweet. I've always loved you.
Same. When I first met you, I think I was drunk, no surprise there, at a bar. Where did we first meet?
I remember in the early days of BuzzFeed when you'd like sit in like your office area with your headphones, like you were such a hard worker. And I looked at Zach when I was like over there, just like stealing snacks from your guys' cafeteria. I was like, that girl, she's a hard worker. And he's like, I know, Kelsey hustles.
Zach did too. We would always be the ones that like stay late, and then we'd go to yoga and stuff. But I actually remember before you guys started dating, I was there for the inception of, what do they call you? Maggie or whatever. Like the fucking night he rolled over to my desk, like with his chair, and like rolled over.
Oh my God.
All right, Kelsey. So what do you think about this situation? And was like, because did you guys have mutual friends or something?
No, we didn't. We met at a bar. There was, you know how you make friends with ladies in the ladies' bathroom line.
Yes.
And so my friend had come out of town because she had just broken up with her boyfriend, and we decided to go to West Hollywood to go out just to kind of have fun.
Yeah.
But we had
the
made
Try
friends.
Guys stomping ground back in 2017, by the way.
Oh my gosh. I know. You can thank Eugene for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Eugene takes full credit for our relationship. So, as he should.
Yeah.
So we had just made friends with the girls in front of us, and then kind of started talking that way.
Okay. Well, I remember him showing me your picture, and I think maybe you guys had gotten out on a date. Oh no, maybe you hadn't gone out yet.
Really?
Okay. I'm trying to reorganize.
He's telling people early.
I have to reorganize my thoughts because I have to check in with Zach to ask if this is exactly how it went. But I remember him thinking he was being catfished. And was it by the girl that was right before you, or was it you?
I think it was me, because he thinks it was me. He's like, wait, like I met this wonderful person, and like I just want to make sure like the lights weren't too dark, and this girl's actually like stunning.
And I remember I'm the one who taught him how to Google reverse image search something, because we did
to make sure
the office that night trying to find you and stalk you. And I was like, no, Zach, I'm like pretty sure she's like a fucking real person, and definitely do it. I guess I should be taking part in the credit of y'all's relationship with Eugene, because like,
yeah, you should.
I gave him the confidence to get over that. Okay. I said we were going to
so many people. So many people. I think David Dang had cut his hair for the first time before he went out that night, so he also takes credit.
Well, all of that plays a part.
It takes a village. It really does.
But I mean, I have to ask, because obviously like you could have gone the rest of your life as doing what you do, having a very meaningful, impactful, like stable job, and your life could have been perfectly great, I'm sure. And then you meet Zach, who is an internet celebrity, and you now are the host of a hit podcast. You're constantly in videos with millions of views. Like you are, you know, whether you or not you liked it, became a part of this Try Guys fandom, which then, you know, spawned your own career sort of in this area. Like, I know it wasn't that you were ever anti this stuff. You were just like, I know nothing of this world.
Yeah.
Like, why would I be involved?
I always feel like in the very early beginnings of it, I mean, now that they have like their own crew and the same people, like it's gotten a little bit more comfy in that way. But when they were first starting out, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, how do I act natural? I'm just like so nervous. Like I just didn't do theater or anything like that. So I was always very self-conscious and like would filter myself.
Guys,
and it was totally a conversation.
How stunning she is, and that to know that you ever felt self-conscious about anything is very relatable. So thank you for your honesty.
You are too much. But like I think about it in that way where like I don't really what the people that I do look up to, I don't look up to them for being like beautiful
Who do you look
or
up
anything
to?
like that. Who do I look up to?
Who are your biggest role models?
My role models. That's a hard question.
Isn't it funny that I'm like immediately like Meredith Grey?
Oh,
Not Meredith Grey, but that was like where my brain went for you as a role model.
I
have to imagine your family probably. You're a big
my
family
mom.
gal, and you got a gorgeous sister, by the way, who I got to meet, who met. Amazing,
yeah. But I guess like when I look up to people who I do, like I don't look up to them because they're pretty or whatever. I do it for like how they make me feel. And I was just like, oh my God, am I coming off the right way? This and that. But it was definitely a conversation before Zach announced that we were together.
Which that announcement video, I remember seeing it and texting him and saying, okay, L Mills. And he was like, definitely got some inspiration, which is so funny, like full circle, because L Mills was on Guilty Pleasures for today's episode that got released. I'm obsessed with. But what did you think of that video?
Cute. Oh my gosh. It was so cute. I liked it a lot, but I was still really nervous to be on camera around then.
Worried about like what the world would say, or did you not so much care about other people? Or
I didn't really care about other people, but I was nervous that people were going to be like overprotective because he was just like a single guy and he like provided. And that's kind of what I was nervous about. And I think I was going through like my really bad like cystic acne during that time too. So I was like, don't put me on camera.
The fact that like, again, like I see you.
I'm an onion. I'm Shrek.
High regard that I'm like, you don't have any problems. You're stunning. You got a great job. You've got a great brand you're building. Like your life is fantastic, but you went through a cystic acne thing.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I was a confidently insecure listener for your PCOS episode.
Oh my
and like
God.
Your hormone episode, like during that time. See,
like, what do you
say that my job impacts people. Your job impacts people too, Kelsey.
Well, tell me about your cystic acne journey, because I went through one too, not necessarily as intense or like I'm such a like put a pill on it. Like I was willing to try like anything, but tell me a little bit about your journey with that, and then like having to be in front of millions of people.
Okay. So I think, PCOS, they think I had it for the longest time, but like as a 14-year-old, my mom was like deathly, and especially being Latina, like deathly afraid of teenage pregnancy. And I went to Catholic school.
Good old Catholicism with the
she's like, you're pregnant. You're pregnant. You're out of here. Anyway, my mom made me get like a pap smear even before I was having sex, because she was convinced I was having sex, and I was like, Mom, I'm not having sex. And she's like, too bad. You're getting a pap smear.
My mom put me on the pill when I was 15, and I was like, all right, I'm not even getting attention from boys, but all right.
All right. Yeah. So we all like, I got on it, and that was probably masking my symptoms, because I only started getting my period when I was like 13, got on a pill at 14. So like, who knows
what it was masking.
Yeah. Wow. So I think, PCOS is such a spectrum, and like different women have different, like some people can present with like weight gain, like the facial hair and all that stuff. Some people get acne, some people don't. Some people have the cystic ovaries, some people don't. So it's just a class. PCOS is a syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So like it is a umbrella of symptoms, and you can present in different ways. And so, I got off the pill, not because I was trying to get pregnant, but it's because I was on for 10 years, and I started working night shift at the hospital, and I was like, I'm really bad at taking this at the same time because my schedule is so varied. I was like, let me get on an IUD. So I got on an IUD.
Copper or non-copper?
Non-copper. I got on the hormonal one.
Yeah.
And I think like 8 months into it, which is probably like when my hormones like stabilized and were being affected the way it needed to be. I think Mirena's only progesterone. So my hormones swung in one direction, whereas the pill was it was managing progesterone and estrogen. So I swung, and I started getting like really bad periods, really bad facial acne. And I like wasn't really putting 2 and 2 together. I was like, maybe I just need to get the Mirena pulled.
Wow.
Got the Mirena pulled. And it was a long thing of just like, okay, I'd go to my primary and be like, can we just do a hormone panel? Can we do a hormone panel? Can we do a hormone panel? And so it took a while for me to kind of understand what was happening with me.
Right.
Just because it's not really, and it's not really something that, I mean, 1 in 10 women have it, but not a lot of people know.
Probably more even because it's like so underdiagnosed, so covered up by birth control, so women not being listened to anyways. Like that's it. And it makes me I'm sorry for you, but it makes me feel better that like even you, someone who's literally in the medical field all day, every day, was not getting answers clearly. And like, even though you're probably the biggest like medical advocate for yourself, like still was
I was just
struggling.
like, this is not, and I like Zach watched my face kind of like in the matter of months, just like
Jared did the same thing. I purged and then it was like a year, and I actually did a BuzzFeed video that was like, am I allergic to my makeup? And I went and got tested for that. And then it was something about like nickel or metals that they thought it was. And then I went through every single acne pill except for Accutane. And I went to every fucking big major dermatologist in Los Angeles, tried every single treatment. And at the end of all of it, when I would get to like the last phase with the doctor, they would always be like, you should just go back on birth control. And I'd be like,
fine. I mean, it is like a treatment, one of the treatment options for PCOS. Depending on like where you are, or like any sort of hormonal condition. But it's just like it's such a personal choice on whether or not you want to do that,
And I mean, now I'm on a progesterone only. I'm on like a new one called Slind, but I also try not to like say too much about my medication because I don't want anyone to be influenced, but also to be like, hey, this exists out there. And if you are someone that wants to know more about it or not, but do you feel a PCOS diagnosis is an ebb and flow for you, or I guess like a syndrome is an ebb and flow for you?
I think it is. And like the only real way that I've been like tackling it is just taking care of myself mentally, physically, emotionally. That's like it's like the only way. There's not really a good way to manage it. Cause like when you do get off birth control, if that's the way you're managing it, it's not really fixing the problem, you know?
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm writing my second book currently.
Congrats.
Thanks. There's like fucking bunch of books over there about chronic pain and invisible illness, because I'm having a very hard time with exactly what you just said, because I'm the same way. I'm like I feel the best when I am treating the body as a whole, like when I'm eating well, when I'm putting good media in my head, like just doing my yoga, doing the minor exercises that I can, going to PT. But I don't know how to tell people who are like chronically in pain and sick that like that can be a fucking game changer without sounding like, well, if you just ate right and did yoga, you'd be better. And it's like, I know that that's not the truth, but I do feel
and it can look different for different people, right?
Right. And I'm having such a hard time like explaining that like umami of life for people. And it's a stuck point for sure. But I'm glad that you said something about how like when you treat your mental and your emotional and physical, that like,
and it's like still like a thing that I'm slowly unpackaging, right? Because like you have been texting about like therapy and stuff like that.
Tell me about it. I mean, tell me as much as you want to share, but like how's the therapy journey going?
It's good. It's going good. But I like texted to Kelsey a month or two ago, but I reached out to a therapist in March of last year, and she like did my intake. It was like an hour-long session. And we finished the interview, and I had like talked about like things of my past, and I was like, I'm gonna tackle these demons. And then she's like, by the way, I don't have any availability for the next 7 months. So I will put your file in our little portal, and I will reach out to you whenever someone has availability. And then I never heard back. And I was like, okay, there's probably like more people in the middle of the pandemic who are requiring therapy. So like, okay, I'll take it. It's fine. Like I'll get myself my little therapy notebook, and I'll like journal stuff.
But that's
what I did. And then I was like, okay, let me text Kelsey and see who she recommends, because she is such an advocate for mental health. So that's like kind of what I did. But it's going good.
I'm so glad you found
her for a month now, and she's so sweet.
Yeah. I feel like that's really important to find someone that can understand that half of you too, that even you're kind of like, I don't feel either way, you know, cause that's not something that like, you know, I think of like a Black woman going in to talk with a white man about today's struggles. And like, I miss the connection, but we are doing a whole mental health month in May.
Ooh.
So let's see, your episode will come out next week. And then we've got therapists and people, advocates and all that we're going to be talking about. And
I like the themes that you like to kick off the month. That's awesome.
Yes. And like the best thing I noticed when doing the research for finding people to come on and talk and like, you know, reaching out to the community was that there are so many young women therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists that I was able to connect with that I did not have that shit growing up. Like it took me till I was in my older years to find someone that had similar experiences. And I didn't realize like how important that was to have like young,
a sense of community and like a sense of will is so important with like getting through those things. So that's awesome. And that the fact that you're giving back and like sharing the wealth.
I mean, therapy wealth, if I could have endless funds, it would be therapy wealth. I would take that over a fucking $1 million any day. But how has it been too? Like, I want to talk about what's to come with you, because now you're just like a star, bitch. Like whether or not you like,
my God,
you are a star. The podcast
not
is amazing.
Even
like, how did You Can Sit With Us come to be, and why is it so important to you guys?
Oh, I think, well, we would always like get together anytime the guys would have any sort of anything. And we're like, we're so fun. We should, oh, you guys are so sweet. But I think we just sat down one day and we're like, we should start a podcast. Like I think it was like a joke in the beginning because we did like Try Wives Take Over the Company.
Yeah.
Let's do a podcast episode. And I think we did, and it never got released, but we like practiced and like put on their headphones and we're like, da, 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 and we like, I don't know. I don't think it ever did get released, but it was like part of the video.
Patreon.
But we still sat down and did it.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it probably was released to Patreon because when we were trialing and like trying to get it was right before the pandemic. It was like I think January to March or something like that. It would only get released to Patreon, and the patrons would give us feedback on like things they wanted to hear. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
We love our Patreon community.
There it is. Shout out to the patrons. But like, what an amazing thing to build during the pandemic too. Cause it's 4 or 5. How many are you? 5, 4.
There's 4
of us, but you guys have guests. And to have like the like diversity of opinions and life experience, like, is it something you want to keep doing? Do you guys want to branch out more? Like, what else do you want to do? I mean, also you have a full-time fucking job.
I know it's been hard to balance. And I think with the pandemic, we kind of it's kind of hard to meet on Zoom. You know what I mean? I think it's really natural when you and I meet, but we always want to make sure we're not cutting each other off. I'm sure you deal with this too when you're interviewing people and you've perfected this, because a lot of the time we'll be like, oh no, you go. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Especially with women, like, we're so apologetic. We're like, oh no, sorry, you go.
Yeah. That's exactly how it is. And I think that like getting used to it on Zoom, as the boys are so natural and they're used to working together and stuff like that. So I think we're still, I mean, it's still like a work in progress, but we have so much fun doing it. So hopefully it can continue.
It is not a work in progress. It's a masterpiece.
Oh, you are so sweet. But we have an idea, like we have more ideas, like in the near future, we want to start interviewing the experts that the boys have in their videos. Like they only get like little segments, especially like the 4 versus 1 experts. I was like, why don't we bring them on? That would be so cool.
Yeah. I mean,
like the crossword puzzle man or like just like the puzzle expert. I'm like, we should just like pick their brain and see, like, that could be like a fun concept where you kind of like lost character development and like pick apart these people, like what you're doing now to me.
Well, no, but like I'm watching you talk about this stuff and I'm like, wow, you've really embraced this like part of your life that you never fucking asked for. Like we were interviewing I can say it because it'll be out by then, but we've been interviewing all of the Fast and Furious actors and directors for Guilty Pleasures podcast.
That is so, I hope that you guys get invited to
the premiere. It's not till June, which I feel like, I mean, I'm vaccinated fully as of I mean, 2 weeks ago, but Saturday I'll be
Congrats.
like,
Wait, that means you're fully,
I'm fully vaxxed. Yes.
Or like it's fully vaxxed.
Yeah. It's fully implemented into my bones.
Yes.
And I feel like June, it would be a very small premiere. Like, I still don't know how they're gonna keep track of people. And like, I didn't even get to talk to you about like working as a fucking nurse during a pandemic, bitch. What? You did that?
Yeah. It's
was
wild.
that like a part of like you're gonna go down in history, right? Like all nurses should already, just in general, for being so fucking vital and essential. But like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was wild. I remember just like looking at the COVID census board and just watching it like slowly increase like through the spring, and then it went down and then went back up at the end of November, December, January. I was very fortunate in that COVID doesn't affect children the way it does adults, but I have a lot of friends who are working emergency ICU and hearing some of the stories that they were facing on just like logistics of working on a floor like that, and kind of how they had to adapt and like make like improvise to make room for more floors, and like watching people come down from different parts of the hospital surveying like the amount of oxygen like hookups that we had was just, it was wild.
Even think about that, adding that to the stressor of this other like job you also now have.
It's already, you have to like think that like people are normally in the hospital that I work at, usually census is very high just because I work in a very busy part of the city, and so having to accommodate the influx of people just being affected. It's crazy.
I mean, do you feel hopeful for this year? Like, I guess it's like a personal, but also because you're in the medical field, like your opinion on just like, how do you feel about the year to come?
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that things start to go in the right directions with like 3 vaccines being administered here. Like hopefully we can still like keep up the pace on vaccinations, and everyone, like I've been relieved to go out and most people are adhering to like the social distancing and the mask still. So I am hopeful. And like, that's the only way to kind of get myself through. Like, I don't like to promise like dates to myself. I just like, stay on track. Just like, we're going to get through this. Like holding on to the little bit of hope that we do have, you know,
even hearing the struggle of one of like the best hospitals in the country. Like I can only imagine like the way that it was, you know,
or smaller hospitals like across this country, you know, and like smaller like, hospitals across the state. Like it's crazy. Like the hospitals where the amount of resources that other people have aren't as abundant in other locations.
And I was going to say they were canceling a fuck ton of people on TikTok that were nurses that were anti-vaccination and anti-virus completely, and then would be like posting on their TikTok that they would be out that weekend, and then they would go back to their hospital job. And they were
God,
like,
I didn't hear about this.
Oh my gosh, there's a whole lane on TikTok about people contacting the hospitals of like the places that nurses worked with that were like, hey, did you know like this nurse doesn't believe in COVID and she's taking care of your child? And I was just like, oh my God, social media.
Oh my God.
Like a fucking blessing in disguise, but also awful. And just like, oh, it's a strange subgenre of TikTok.
Yeah. The one thing about this year is like learning more about people on your feed, and you're like, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I just recognized I could have lived in oblivion for the rest
of
our
I wish I could just ignorance bliss.
Yeah. I realized I segued to Michelle Rodriguez and Fast and Furious, and then jumped back to nurse stuff. But I feel like I
love your brain. I love your brain.
I've been off Adderall for like a month and a half, and I can't tell if I love it or hate it because I'm more erratic than ever, but also I'm alive and I'm functioning. So we'll just see how long this lasts. But I know I do have to let you go because we're about to surprise
that went so fast.
Diesel. Didn't it? I know. We're about to surprise Garrick with Vin Diesel, and it's like a whole big thing. So I promised Zach that I wouldn't go over time, but I break the rules a little bit. But I gotta ask, like, what's to come and like what can the followers and fans get excited about for you? Like, what's happening in life? What's happening in career? Tell us secrets and things.
Oh, what's happening with me? Zach and I may have a house. We just bought a house, but we're not sure. Yet.
It's allegedly. Sure. It's allegedly.
Allegedly. What else? We're going to be getting married sometime between now and the next 3 years. Who knows? We haven't. Our pockets aren't deep enough to be able to do all of those at once. So.
No, I mean, fuck the wedding system. That's a whole nother podcast we could do just about like, the trials and tribulations of wedding. I have like a couple of you that I feel like would be a fun episode to bring on, like planning a wedding with my friends. Maggie, where can people follow you and find you, and what should they listen to of yours?
Yeah, follow me at Mags Bustamante on Instagram, and then subscribe to our podcast at You Can Sit With Us on anywhere you get your podcasts.
You can sit with us on Wednesday.
You can.
Maggie,
cutie boo crew.
Thanks, cutie boo crew.
And thank you so much for having me on today this week.
This went by so fast. I feel like it was just a conversation between you and
I know.
Like a regular one. I'm like, oh my God, next time I'm going to get like more hard hitting and structured format questions. But no, I just like hanging out with you, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon.
Yeah, I like to hang. We'll have a game night soon.
Yes, I'm going to force you to play Catan whether you like it or not. Comfy done. You know you can rate this 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're not going to rate it 5 stars, please don't rate it at all because I'm very sensitive. Speaking of being sensitive, you can get the merch link below. You'll also find all of Maggie's things, and we will see you next week.